By now, most of you have heard the news that Al Gore sold his supposedly failed cable channel, Current TV, to the state-funded, state-run Al Jazeera channel out of Qatar in the Middle East. Well, that's not what really happened. Al Gore intended the entire time to simply get a cable channel because then he can force all the cable subscribers and satellite subscribers in the United States to pay him fees. That's right, on their basic cable or basic satellite. And there's a great article in Forbes that points this out. The real problem with Al Gore's $100 million payday from selling Current to Al Jazeera. And it goes over the history of the fact that the man who claims to have invented the internet, he lied about that. This is a guy who would try to sell you the Brooklyn Bridge, did actually ram through as vice president an act that has more than doubled since they did it in 96 when he was vice president with the Telecommunications Act, the price of your cable and satellite for basic, because it makes you pay a percentage to anyone that can get a cable channel. Well, supposedly under the law, you've got to have so many millions of viewers for that channel, proving that it's worth something. Well, it doesn't matter. It turns out Al Gore, because he helped write the law, was able to get around all of that illegally, kind of like Congress says that they're allowed to insider trade when they're really not allowed to. And so everybody's focusing in on the fact that oil money from the Qatar, depending on how you pronounce it, government paid for this, $500 million total, $100 million to him, and Dianne Feinstein's husband as well. Oh yes, it's good to write the laws, isn't it, or be connected to those that do, and to be exempt from the law in this tyranny. They're all pointing out that it's oil money doing it. They're all pointing out that it's foreign state-run media, which is true and should be illegal, and oh, by the way, is illegal. But they don't care. It gets forced on because of traitors like Al Gore, now a foreign government. By the way, they've caught other Middle Eastern countries funding CNN, like Bahrain and others. Amber Lyon, the three-time Emmy Award-winning journalist at CNN who quit over it, she discovered and exposed the fact that most of CNN is funded by actual foreign governments. So they kind of pool in for the global state-run media. Just thought you might want to know that. Same thing with MSNBC. But here's a Corp Watch from 12 years ago pointing out that he is the biggest oil baron in politics, pretty much ever. His dad ran Occidental Petroleum. Al Gore is still connected to it. The point is he's a total hypocrite. He just wants to be able to put a tax on every amount of carbon you use while the globalists are exempt. It's a giant scam at every level. But there's a whole nother area to this, and that is not just the foreign influence, but that CNN, RT, funded by Putin publicly, Russia Today, the official Chinese daily newspaper and television, all are calling for us to have our guns taken. It's not just that we have foreigners who aren't citizens here, like Piers Morgan every night saying, get rid of the Second Amendment, but we have all these foreign governments. And I went and looked it up. Even USA Today reports on it. Al Jazeera every day saying get rid of the Second Amendment. They're already on some cable systems. But they don't get the carriage rights where your money is paid to them like Al Gore does. So they knew the entire time just having that channel spacing means your cable dollars go to them. And you're like, well, that's free market. You don't have to have cable. You don't have to have satellite. Well, if you're in the country, you may have to have satellite. The point is you might want to just get basic cable, which is on average $56 now. The Forbes piece breaks down when it was 20-something before this. But it's not basic. It's channels you're forced to get and forced to pay for to get a bare minimum. You understand? It's like wanting to just buy a hamburger and they say, sorry, there's only French restaurants, $100 a plate by law. You see, you can't go get a bare minimum because Al Gore forced it in there and broke the rules. Now he has that valuable channel that's guaranteed all that money, even if they don't get advertising. So it's another government corporate partnership scam with a law he wrote. No wonder the communist Chinese fly him over there multiple times a year to pay him $1 million to give a speech that loses money, because he helped get through laws that forced our businesses over to China where they've made hundreds of billions. So they'll pay him a couple million a year. And it just goes on and on and on with these people. That's what it's really all about. And their liberal cover is just that. It's a cover. A real liberal is Thomas Jefferson, not these people. So here's USA Today reporting on all the foreigners saying turn in our guns. We, of course, in the last 2 weeks have been reporting on this and had another article just a few days ago breaking this down that covers all the facets. Obama teams up with foreign media and governments to destroy the Second Amendment. So now you know the full story. Foreign state-funded oil money here on a channel with a bunch of American hosts, so you don't even know you're being influenced. CNN run by foreign Middle Eastern outfits pushing anti-gun garbage on us. Even the Israeli government saying we shouldn't have guns now, even though we pay for their citizens to have guns to protect themselves. The whole world's ganging up on us to get our guns because the whole world's run by these global corporate combines. So all these countries and governments are now just sock puppets of the same new world order. The same system telling us the same thing because it's a mafia and they've taken over via fraud and crimes and insider deals, and they don't want that takeover, not just what they've already stolen, but their future takeover to ever end. They're imploding Europe, they're imploding America, they're going to implode everything. It's a global gang of corporatists who are outside the law and who socialize things at the grassroots to make you dependent. But at the higher level, it's a corporate fascist model. And this is what the political scientist will not teach you, but this is how the real world works. That's why people like Dianne Feinstein go to Congress with $1 million in her financial statements, and now she's worth over $100 million. I'd said 90-something last week, but the new filings are out. It's way over $100 million. Because they're in there taking the tax money and the different government contracts and giving it to their friends who later then give them payoffs. And there's so many examples of this where they'll go buy a politician's property for 3 times what it's worth as a payoff, or they'll come buy a TV channel for 2 or 3 times what it's worth. That's what the news is reporting here. And it's just all out in the open. And even when they get caught, they just say, oh, you know what? It's a conspiracy theory, and hope that you're too lazy to go check the facts. So go check the Forbes article, go check the Corporate Watch article. And it goes over it all, and I'll be covering it on the radio, the Sunday show, 4 to 6 Central, audio streams at Infowars.com, video streams at PrisonPlanet.tv or InfoWarsNews.com. I mean, how long can Al Gore run on with all his scams? I mean, I could tell you I was the inventor of the internet. He had nothing to do with it. The internet was set up in the 60s and 70s and 80s. He was involved in one spending bill in the early 90s as a senator before he got elected vice president. You can look it up. I mean, it's just amazing. And he's the first guy to walk on the moon, too. And maybe he was Jesus. Maybe, you know, I mean, he could tell us that. I mean, it's true. And he wants you to pay him money through his global consortium based in London every time a cow has flatulence. Yeah, you'll pay in the cost of beef, saying it's a carbon tax to him. Or every time you start your car, every time you get on a bus or fly on a plane, or every time you turn a light switch on. It's just incredible. You're being conned. Wake up to the facts. We need to arrest all these people. Yes, I will say it. Al Gore is a criminal on record. All right, that's it. He's profiting from laws he helped get passed, and the law says he can't do it. The Forbes article is asking how is he doing it? Because the criminals are regulating each other. That's why. Alex Jones signing off for Infowars.com.